I have made this Excel sheet which has some demo data such as the names of the students, their current grade in which they are studying, and some subjects and their marks, the percentage marks in each of these subjects. This is just for the demo purposes. And over here I have, if you scroll to the right hand side, I have some data over here, which I want to multiply these 10 numbers by 2. So through this I will be able to explain to you the absolute and relative referencing. If you see my second sheet, the formulae covered, this has all the functions that are there in your Excel, the syllabus, and through this demo sheet I'll be able to explain to you each one of these. So the first one is formula versus function. Anything that's there in Excel already, that's called a function. For an example, if you want to sum up the English grades using a function, you can actually do it by just selecting the data, going to auto sum from here, and using a function called sum. So if you press sum, it will show you 328.5 as the sum, and you can see the function over here. So basically this is called the formula bar, where the formula or the functions appear. Now there are some operations which you cannot do through any function. So for that you will have to write the formula. For an example, if I want to subtract 56 from 87, okay, and I want to display the result here, there is no function called sub or subtract, nothing like that. So what you can do, you can just write equal to. Any function or formula always starts with equal to. So you can write 87, press the minus sign here and say 56. Press enter and you will get the subtraction of 87 minus 56. So here if you can see, it's just showing F3 minus F4. There is no function that I have used. I've just used a formula where I have subtracted one cell from the another. Okay, so that is the difference between function and formula. Function which already exists in the Excel, such as these ones over here. You can even go to more functions and see more functions such as max, min, count, and all these things. And this is called a function. If a function doesn't uh, uh, is not there in Excel, then you can use a formula. Okay, that's the difference. Coming to power function, there is something called power. So if I have to do power 3 raised to the power 2, so I will write equals to. If you can see, it's already there, which is called a function. So write power, write the number and something that you want to raise it to the power. So 3 raised to the power, press the bracket and you will get 9. So 3 square is 9. Yeah, that's power function. Coming to sum, you can do it through sum function, and as I had told you, just select all of them and press sum. You can get this. Else you can write sum yourself and you can then select the range that needs to be summed up and you will get it as 289.7. The same thing, you can do it through this. If you want to, let's say, find the maximum of the maths marks, like who is the person who's got the maximum marks, so you can say equals to max is the function, bracket, and you select the complete range, bracket close, press enter, you'll get the maximum marks. So this max is the function over here which shows you the maximum value from a range of cells. Okay, now the minimum value, same way, equal to min, select it, bracket close, it will give you 26.8 as the minimum value. So you can do that from here. For average, you can say equals to average, select the range, bracket, press average, you will get the average of it. So you can do that from formulas or functions as you want. So I've covered power, sum, max, min, average. Coming to count, there are 3 variations in count. One is count, the other one is count A, and the other one is count if. So there are 3 variations that you can use. And count if with only text cells is also one that we have found out, which is not given in the book, but it's good that you asked me the questions and I was able to find that out for you. So I'll start with count. I'll go to my demo sheet. If suppose I want to count the number of cells here starting from F1 till F6. So I will just write equals to count and I select the complete range over here, press enter, it gives me 5. Although there are F1 to F6, there are 6 cells, okay, but it gives me a count of 5 because count function counts only the numeric values. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cells in which there are numeric values. It's not counting this cell which contains English because this contains text. So count is only and only used to count the numeric values. Now, if you want to count the text as well as numeric values, you can use count A function, and you can select the whole range. It will give you the count as 6 because it is counting the text cells as well as the numeric cells. Okay, so that is the difference between it. If you want to count only the text cells and not the numeric cells, you can say count if your range is this, you press comma, and inside double quotes you press a star. Star here means that it could be any text values. It could be A, B, C, D, E, or any combination of letters. So star means any cell that contains any kind of text, it will give you that. Okay, so we are not sure what kind of text it is. I don't know that is English, math, science, or what is written inside the cells. My aim is only to find out that cell which has text written. So I have written star, which means I don't know what text, but you just I'm giving an instruction to Excel that any cell which has text, please find me that. So when I press enter, it gives me 1, which means only out of this whole range there is only one cell which contains text. Okay, please remember people that in all these count functions, if there are any empty spaces, it will forget it. It will not count any empty spaces. For an example, if I make this cell empty, okay, and I use a count A function here, and I select the whole range, it will give me 5 because it's counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's not counting the empty space. Okay. Okay, let me just write that back. What was written over here? All right. So that is count function and count A function. Okay. Now count if is used only when you want to count the number of cells as per a given condition. Okay, so let's say I'll use the count function on the this B1 to B6 range if I want to count only the number of cells which contain the grade as 12. Okay, so I will say count if, just see the parameter here first, it says range. So my range is this whole thing, and my criterion is that I want all the cells which contain the value 12. So you can either select B5 or B4, any one which contains 12. Bracket close, press enter, it will give you 2 because there are 2 cells which contain the grade 12. So count if is always used when there is a range and a criterion given. Okay, so that is my count F function. Moving on, this is all done. Count A, count if, and count if with text cells. Now sum if, a very important function. Count would count the number of cells, but sum if would sum the number of cells based on a given condition. Okay, let's say I want to display the sum of English marks here for only grade 11 students. Okay, I don't want any other students to be here. So let's say I want only the marks of Ananya, which is a grade 11 student, and Kamakshi, who is again a grade 11 student. So I want only Ananya and Kamakshi's English marks to be summed up over here, and the rest Vansh, Karan and Aryan, because they are not in grade 11, their English marks should not appear in the sum. So there is a condition given that the grade is 11, so I will use a function called sum if. So I will say equals to sum if you see the first parameter, it says range. Now range is what? Ranges from where you select any criteria. So I will say this is my range. My criteria is that the student has to be a grade 11 student. So I've selected B6 because this contains this. So if this criteria is fulfilled, what do I need to sum? I need to sum English marks. Bracket close, press enter. Okay. I think there is a named range, that's why it's not working, but let me see. Okay, sum if, yeah, sorry, I had selected grade also, you don't need to do that. This grade 11 and sum range, bracket close, Press enter and you will get the sum of 98.4, 43.3. The error that I had made was I selected the text cell also, which contains grade. You don't need to do that. The range should only contain the numeric cells, which is from B2 to B6. That was the error, and that's why my formula wasn't running earlier. So be sure about this and keep that in mind. Okay, so SUMIF will do that. Okay, and let's say now you want to average the maths marks of grade 12 student. Okay, so you will do this average if my range is this, my criteria is grade 12, and I want to average the maths marks, so I will do this, bracket close. So it's giving me 72.05 because that's the average of 98.3 and 45.8. That was my criteria, that I want only grade 12 students maths average. So I've used a function called average if. So wherever there is a condition given, always use the normal function with an if and it will give you the required results. Okay. Alright. So this was a new thing that we did not cover earlier. Okay, absolute and relative referencing is a concept which needs to be used, and very carefully it has to be used. For an example, I'll show you through this. Let me make this as blank. Okay, now I want 1 into 2 and 2 into 2, all these things to be calculated and displayed over here. So the easiest formula is equals to 1 into 2. This gives me a result 2. Now instead of applying this formula in all these cells, I will simply look out for this thin plus sign and I will copy the whole range. Okay, but it is giving me all zeros because if you see, this is K1 into L1. When I copy the formula, that doesn't become K2 into L1, it actually becomes K2 into L2. So everything with every increasing cell number, the formula is getting increased, which I don't want. Okay, so this is called a relative referencing, which means in relation to the previous cell, the other cells get increased. They keep getting increased in numbers. So this is called relative. This is related to this one is also related to this. So every formula that I apply in the first cell, it is related to all the other cells, and I don't want this. Here I want to print a table of 2. So instead of using relative referencing, I will use absolute referencing, which means I only want to reference this. I don't want to reference these cells because they are all blank. I want this to be an absolute reference for my formula. So I will say equal to K1 into L1. So I want L1 to remain fixed. So the easiest way to do this is apply a dollar at the starting and in between. So it will say equals to K1 into $L $1. Now when you copy this formula here, you will get your required results because this is K1 into $L $1 and this is not going to become K2 into $L $2. It's going to remain $L $1. This one. I'm referencing this as an absolute value. So you see this, it shows K2 into L $1. This is going to remain fixed. Where I have not applied any dollar, that's going to increase. K2 is going to become K3, yeah, K4, and you can see it. Okay, I've changed the I've tampered the formula, that's why just be careful about this. So this is only K1 multiplied by $L $1. Okay, press enter, it shows 2. Simply copy the formula and get your required result. So this is called absolute referencing, where you apply a dollar to the value which is going to remain fixed. Okay, now number filters I'll cover later. Int round, I'll tell you what is the meaning of this. Let's say you want to calculate the average of these grades, so you will say average and you will select the whole range. Now let's say you want the value to appear as an integer. So what you do, in front of average, you just say int, bracket and bracket close. So it will give you 65 instead of 65.7. it will simply remove all the values which are after the decimal. Okay, and let's say if you want to just round the value and not remove the decimal places, you can say equal to round to how many decimal places? Let's say 1 decimal place. Okay, I must have done something here. Let me see what is wrong with it. Equals to average. I select the whole range. It shows 65.7. I want to round this by 1 decimal place, so I will say round. And I will say I want to round it by 1 decimal place. Yeah, 65.7. If you want to round it by 0 decimal place, so you say 0 and press enter, it will show you 66, because 65.7 will become 66 since the number after the decimal is more than 5. So that's the thing, it increases the number by 1. So round will round the decimal places. Okay, and int will just remove all the places, all the numbers which are after the decimal. That's the difference between the two. Going here, if function, if is also used just like sum if and average if. If you have some condition to give, you can do that. Let's say if I want to say that in English those students who got above 95 should get excellent, those of whom who got 80 to 95 should get average, and less than 80 should say can do much better. Okay, so you can apply it here. I'll say if my, okay, let me apply it here. Yeah, equals to if English marks is greater than 95. So if this happens, I want to type excellent. Okay, so if you see the parameters, logical test, my logical test is F2 is greater than 95. If this value is true, what should be displayed? Excellent. Okay, if this value is false, what should be displayed? Comma, then it will go for another condition. It will say if F2 is let's say greater than 80, then it should display good, else it should just say can do better. Okay, be careful about the brackets. I have this one function if here. I'll close another back bracket and I'll say this. So since this is above 95, it's excellent. Now 87 is what? Not above 95, it is just above 80. So it should display good. I'm going to copy the formula here and it says good. 56 is actually less than 80. So what should it display? It should say can do better. So I'll copy the formula. It says can do better, and just you can copy all the formulas here. So based on whichever condition is true, okay, it displays the desired result. Okay, so remember this, that the syntax is if, the condition, the test, then comma, if this condition falls true, what should be displayed? If this condition is false, what should be displayed? So logical test, true and false value. That is the syntax of all of it. Just remember this. Now nested if is if within if. We have already done that. The formula that we applied here, this is an if within an if. Okay, if there is only single if, that's called an if formula. If there is an if inside an if, like this if was inside an if, okay, so that is called a nested if. Yeah, okay, all right, this is all done. Name cells and ranges, nothing but if you give a name to a range, let's say I want to give a name to this range saying maths, so I will right click this, I will say define name, and I will say this is my maths range. I'll click on OK. So anytime when you want to use this range, you can just give the name as maths. So if I want to average these marks, I can say average, and in bracket you can say maths. Okay, instead of selecting this whole range, you just write the name of the range. When you press enter, it will give you this, because it is now referencing the whole range with the name maths. It has given this whole range the name of maths. Okay, if you want to name a cell, that can also be done. If you want to name this as E4 or anything, I mean current science grade or whatever, right click, define name, let's say current science grades. Click on OK. Okay, it won't let me take a this thing apostrophe s. Okay, so let's say current science grades. I click on OK. This name does not begin with a letter or underscore. The name contains a space. Okay, all right. It can't take space. Let me try this name. Yeah. So can't have a space, can't have special characters in any range or cells or a name. So the name of this cell is current grade. Okay, current grades. So anytime when I want to access this, I have to call this by the name of current grades, or I can just use it as 67.9. So that was name, cells and ranges. Charts, very important thing. This I hope it works in my 2013, because last time when I was taking your class it was not working. So let me see if it does. So if I want to have all the students history grades, so I've selected all the names. I press control key and I select history grades to just select the data that I want. Okay, now go to insert, and whatever charts you want to make, let's say column chart, you make a column chart here. Now this thing is not working in my cells, people. I think, see, it shows this command is currently disabled. I think this is some problem with my Excel, but this should work in your this thing. You may should try. These are the different chart styles. So if you made a chart and you want a particular chart style, let's say this, you can select that style and that style will be applied to your chart. So it's not working in mine. I'll have to repair my Excel package or do something about it, because otherwise it actually works and you should use it. So let's say if I want to give some kind of okay, I go to format. No, it actually happens with chart this thing, chart styles. So if you want to give some name to your chart, you can give it. This is history grades. History grades. Now these are all the names of the students. So you want a label over here. Select the chart here and select that style which has the labels here. Okay, so that can be done from here. This is about the charts. Okay, so we have done charts, and what is left? Number filters and text filters and sorting. Sorting is very easy. If you want to sort any data, you just select that, go to sort and filter, and you say sort smallest to largest, or the way you want to sort it, but it will actually sort on the whole data. So when you say sort smallest to largest, you should always say expand the selection, sort, and it will sort history data by smallest to largest. So 23.8 is the smallest and 89.5 is the highest, which means Kamakshi, who's studying in grade 11, has got the lowest 23.8 history grades. Okay. Coming to filters, if I suppose want to see a particular set of data, we use filters. Let's say if I want to see only maths marks of those students who've got above 50. Okay, so I'll select this cell, I'll say filter. You see this filter over here, you go here, you say number filters, and I want to say that greater than. Okay, so I want maths marks is greater than 50. Okay, so I will get only those marks which are above 50. That's how you apply number filters. Okay, now you can even go here and let's say greater than, I want greater than 50 and less than 20. So this is the range that I want to get now. Click on OK. So there is no person who's got above 50 and less than 20. So there is no such range. Actually, that's not really possible. Let me see. Okay, greater than 20 and less than 50. Okay, that's the right range, which is above 20 and less than 50. So this is my range. If I click on this, so this is above 20 and less than 50. So that's how you can apply number filters. Okay. You can even apply some text filters. If you want to clear the filters, you can just go to filter and clear. If you want to apply some text filters, let's say if you want to see how many students' name starts with A, so you select that cell, the column, you go to filter. Okay, filter, you go here and you say text filters. So someone whose name begins with the letter A, okay, and maybe it ends with A, okay, like this. So there is only one student whose name starts with A and ends with A. That's Ananya. Okay, and you can apply it again if you want to just say that the name begins with K, or the name begins with A. So I want all the people whose name begins with K or A, anyone. So I'll click on OK and I'll get these four people: Kamakshi, Aryan, Ananya and Karan, because out of these two it's looking at OR. So all the A's are coming, all the K's are coming. Yeah. If you want to clear the filter, clear it. Now people, sometimes they might ask you to print the sheet with formulas applied. How do you do that? You just go to formulas, you say show formulas. So your formulas are visible here and they will ask you to print it. Now if you see here, the whole formula is not visible, so always make it visible, the whole formula, and then print it. So you can print this. In the exam time, your printers will be configured to the lab laptops and you won't really face any problem, as we'll have 3 to 4 printers installed during the exam time. So this can be printed, and if you want to fit this on one page, I think it's better to go to page setup, the way you used to do in Word. You say fit to one page, click on OK. So all the formula will get fitted on one page, although it will be really small. You should increase the font or do something about it and print it in a readable format. Okay, go back. Okay, if they want you to select only a particular data and print it, always do this. Let's say if they want you to print only this data, the names of the students, the grade and history grades, select that data, go to file, print, and over here instead of print active sheets, say print selection, which means only the data that you've selected, that will be visible. Okay, so this is only the data, the name, the grade and the history grades. So that's about Excel. I think we've covered all of these things and there's nothing that is left. You may practice and let me know if you face any problem.